Hello, I'm Holly and I'm running to be your President of Diversity and Inclusivity. I'm just going to run through some of my priorities for you today. Nationwide, there has been an increase in eating disorders since the start of the pandemic. Sadly, when lockdown ends, these aren't just going to go away. I'd want to see an awareness campaign and working with local services to help people recognise symptoms and understand there is help available. For many, this year has been the hardest of our lives, and I'd want to make sure that all of our mental health services are actually prepared for a potential spike in demand that could arise from prolonged isolation, bereavement, job losses, and long COVID. A 2017 NUS study found that 39% of students have admitted to using drugs. While I'd never condone drug use, I do believe that we have a responsibility to make things as safe as possible for people who do use drugs. But following the example of other student unions, including Manchester and Nottingham, we can explore the possibility of offering home drug testing kits. Union policy needs to reflect the facts. I'll also look at strengthening ties with external organisations like Renew to ensure that accessing support for drug and alcohol misuse is simple and easy. Of course, none of this will matter if people feel too scared or embarrassed to ask for help, so I promise we will do more to reduce the stigma around drugs and addiction. Of course, it's also important that the union continues to offer a range of brilliant activities that don't involve alcohol and tackle society's pressure unwilling members into drinking to excess. We can make it easier for students with specific learning difficulties and autism to access required support and understand what is available by simplifying the process and making sure every student knows what help they can get from the university and student finance, and that they can seek this support through the university, even if they have not yet received a formal diagnosis. Every student should feel safe on and off campus while they make the most of this brilliant city. I'll encourage more citywide cooperation with external organisations, including venues and taxi firms. This will involve equipping staff and students to help victims of harassment, especially when this harassment may be aggravated by gender, sexuality or race, by encouraging bystander intervention training. I would like to see many students and staff across the city commit to never leaving a vulnerable person alone as part of any training offered. I'd also strive to work with partners across the city to create a network of safe spaces and safer routes with better lighting and CCTV. I'd also continue to build on existing training and education around consent and respect, and consider making some of this training mandatory, following the example of other student unions, such as Liverpool. I work to increase proactive consultation, especially with underrepresented student groups, to make sure their views are valued in decision making. I'll also do my best to make sure you're kept in the loop so you know your time and effort wasn't wasted. I'd want to see a review of complaint procedures to make sure they're transparent, accessible and effective, so every student is aware of how to approach the university and be reassured the complaint will be dealt with seriously and as quickly as possible. Previously, in my role as a counsellor, I've worked with the Make Diversity Count campaign, which was founded by a former Hull Student Union president in response to her experience of racism. That's why I'd want students from ethnic minority backgrounds, students from the LGBT+ community leading this review to make sure it does what it needs to do for the people who need it most. I'll also promote events that encourage all students to be heard and listen to become better allies. While the union already does a good job engaging with national and international movements like Black Lives Matter and Reclaim the Night, I'd want to see us host more of our own events and campaigns and see greater emphasis on stories made centre, given the spotlight, and giving the most marginalised a bigger platform, both online and in person, to give all a chance to tell your story, even if you find the idea of speaking in public utterly terrifying. Most importantly, I want you to know that I am here to listen. I want to be accessible and we'll have an open door policy, be available to chat whenever, where possible. If you like my plan for progressive policy and proactive engagement, give this a share and vote Holly Burton for diversity and inclusivity. Thank you.